Hello, this is Jo from Maths Tutor Me. Today we're doing some algebra and we're going to talk about the language of algebra. There is some important terms that you need to know. The more algebra you do, the more terms there are. Today we have a few terms down here that we're going to learn. First of all, the word term, funny enough. If we are talking about a term in algebra, it is a group of letters and numbers that are separated from each other by a positive or negative sign. The coefficient is the number part of a term. So down the bottom here, a term would be, for example, the 4ab, the minus 4ab here, because it's separated from all these other terms by positive and negative signs. And the coefficient would be the number in the front here, which is the 4. So the number part is the coefficient. A pronumeral is the letter part in a term. So the letter in this is the A and the B, so that is the pronumeral. A constant term is a term that doesn't have a pronumeral at all. We use the term expression for a group of terms and operations that can sometimes include grouping symbols. So basically, a bunch of different terms added and subtracted together is an expression. And finally, an equation has two expressions that are separated by an equal to sign. So here is a few questions to answer where we need to know those terms in order to answer them. So, question number 1, answer for the following expression. So here's my expression here. 8a plus 3b minus 4ab plus 7 minus ab squared. So the first thing it says is find the number of terms. Alright, well, as we said, terms are the things that are separated by plus and minus signs. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. Okay, the second question here, B, what is the coefficient of the third term? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is the third term. The coefficient means the number part of the term. Well, the number in here is minus 4. Don't forget about the minus sign if there is one. That's important. So my coefficient is minus 4. Then it says, what is the constant term? Constant, remember, means has no pronumerals. It's just a a number on its own. So here it is, the 7. It has no letters with it. So the positive 7, we don't need to write the plus sign. The 7 is the constant term. Then D, what is the term with the smallest coefficient? So we're looking for the smallest number that I have in here. Now you'd be tempted to think that maybe this one might be the smallest, okay? It's like no number would mean a 1. And it's actually even a minus 1. But that's actually not true. Maybe you thought the 3 is the smallest. But negative 4 is actually smaller than all of those numbers. So be careful when you're looking for smallest coefficients, because negative numbers are always going to be smaller than all of your positive ones. And the more negative it is, obviously the smaller it is. So negative 4 is the smallest coefficient. Alright, so we're done with this expression. Let's have a look at question number 2. Write an expression for a number 5 more than h. So remember, an expression is just some terms that might have some positive and negative signs in there, maybe even some brackets. It's basically just algebra. We want some algebra terms to form an expression. So we have a number 5 more than h. Alright, well, if it's got to be more than h, I can start with the h, and 5 more than it means I need to add on 5 more. So 5 more than h. And that is an expression. Let's try again for B. The difference between 3 times m and 7 times n. Well, difference means subtract. So I'm going to have to subtract some terms here. My first term is 3 times m. Now in algebra, we never write multiplication signs. We write things next to each other. 3 and m next to each other means multiply. So there is my term 3 times m, 3m. And my other term is 7 times n, or 7n. And the difference means I want to subtract those two terms. Question 3, write an algebraic expression to represent. Okay, Susan gets $W each day for her school lunch. How much money does Susan get for all lunches in one school week? Well, if she gets $W a day for all the lunches in a school week, now we go to school for 5 days a week, so that would be 5 lunches. So she would get 5 lots of, or 5 times, W. That would be how many dollars she would get, 5W. Okay, so that was just a quick little lesson today, just practicing, getting to know those new terms that we've introduced. So here is a few little questions for you to practice. If you pause the video, see if you can remember what we've learnt, and try to do some questions just like the ones that we've just done. Alright, now let's go through the answers. Question number 1. For the following expression here, 7y squared plus 5xy minus 8x minus 3y plus 9. Alright, how many terms are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. That sounds very similar to the last one. Alright, let's have a look at B. What is the coefficient of the second term? Coefficient means number in front. So first term, second term, this is my second term. The number part is 5, so that's my coefficient. What is the constant term? Constant term means it has no prenumerals with it. It's just a number on its own, and that would be the 9 on the end. And D, what is the term with the smallest coefficient? Remember to look out for the negative coefficients. So I have a -8 and a -3. -8 is smaller. So that's my smallest coefficient, -8. Question 2. We want to write an expression for the product of 3 and f. Product means times. So it's 3 times f, but we never write times in algebra. We just write 3f. And B, the difference between 6 times a certain number and 5. All right, well, 6 times a certain number. Well, we haven't been given a symbol for that. Let's say that we're going to use n for our certain number. 6 times a certain number. Difference means subtract. And 5. And lucky last question, number 3. Write an expression to represent this. All right, Harold has P sweets, which he divides among Q people. How many sweets does each person get? Well, if I have P to start with, I need to divide that by the number of people that I have, which is Q. And that would tell me how many sweets each person gets. So you can always use a number to help you if it's a bit unusual doing this with letters. Say I had 20 sweets and I want to share it between 5 people. I would say 20 divided by 5, and that would give the answer. Just like it does here with the letters. Alright. Hopefully that's all making sense. And that's all we're doing for today. So keep practicing, and I will see you next time.